When your eyes gaze seaward, piercing through the dim, slow descending nightfall, on the outer rim, where the deep blue silence touches sky and sea, hast thou seen the golden moon rise silently, seen the great battalions of the stars grow pale, melting in the magic of her silver veil. I have seen the wonder, I have felt the balm of the golden moonrise turn silver to calm.
Hello and welcome to What's Up Punk. We're taking a look at the myriad subgenres underneath the umbrella of punk. Today we're taking a look at Lunarpunk. That's right, we're talking about the dark side of solarpunk. Don't think that means it gets less hippie from here. It's even more hippie from this point forward. Somehow.
What is Lunarpunk?
First, let's not confuse Lunarpunk with the following: Aetherpunk, Afropunk, Void Punk, Goth Punk, or Neuropunk. All of these have a similar esoteric mystical aesthetic and an ambitious underbelly. However, they are not the same. Some of these subgenres mentioned I have covered, so I encourage you to binge watch them. Those I haven't covered yet, ask your tech witch to enchant the randomizer, or pay me 50. Whatever comes first. If the phrase Lunarpunk has you think of angsty feminists under a full moon decked out in cyberpunk wear with a witch hat, stirring cauldrons filled with glowing globs of who fucking knows what, correct. That's Lunarpunk. It's mad, it's sexy, and might just put a hex on you.
I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you.
So watch your shit. Where the line is drawn between Aetherpunk and Lunarpunk seems to be realism. One is akin to the art style of Arcane, and the other is dead set about bringing about the revolution led by marginalized feminine beings. Critical mass and parallel society is the magic they are leveraging to terraform this planet, the moon, and other masses, now and into the future. Less palm reading and more purple hair girls occupying Wall Street. Lunarpunk stands out a bit from the other punk subgenres as it's utopian instead of dystopian. It's one of the few punk subgenres that has a clear, defined goal, and it's pretty unapologetic about it, and how it tends to get it. Make all sentient beings safe at night. Even the Lunarpunk flag is a derivative of the anchro-feminist flag. Subtlety, thy name is punk. Lunarpunk is pretty much the opposite side of the coin to solarpunk, minus one thing. Solarpunk, for all its granola and radical future, it's got a stick up its ass that goes all the way out through the mouth. Looking down on its dystopian kin, especially the ones closest to cyberpunk. See a chant for circularity for an example of that. Lunarpunk makes the moon and her phases the focus of their identity. As annoying as your ex-girlfriend was about basing every decision on the phases of the moon, that's actually a pretty interesting way to build a foundation for a social movement. I say a social movement here because, for what I can tell, Lunarpunks are just as serious about shaping the future as solarpunks are, for better or for worse. It's a growing counterculture. Lunarpunk wants to imagine a world where humanity is at peace with nature and leverages technology as a force for good. They atone for and learn from the witches that were burned in the past, and inject that wisdom into the future. Straight from shamans, pagans, and indigenous people from the past to do something productive with it. No capitalism, no sapient cheetah with a bad haircut. The more I think of what a Lunarpunk future could look like, the more I see communes at the bottom of the ocean undoing pollution and repairing the coral reefs. I see mycorrhizal networks connecting the world together with glowing cordyceps. I see massive bonfires in the forest with a bunch of naked chicks dancing around it. Several points there I can get behind.
Technology.
Pretty much refer to my video on solarpunk for a tech base, just add night. Makes sense too, because making the future safe is already a daunting task, but making everyone safe at night should be the goal. Something I noticed when I was looking into the tech aspect of this was there seems to be some debate between Lunarpunks as far as how serious they are about colonizing the moon, or colonization in general. Some solarpunks are anti-colonization, debate the ethics of doing so on the moon or other planets. As one Lunarpunk told me when researching this topic, maybe we should learn how to get along on this planet first. We still don't know what to do with the trash here. Let's figure that out before colonizing the moon. I don't bemoan their opinion because they're not wrong. We don't really know what to do with the trash. But to play devil's advocate, the fact is, as long as we are stuck here, we will be chained down with old prejudices and ways of thinking because, hey, it worked for the forefathers, why not us? Or that's how it's always been. I think we need to break the chains of gravity so we can move on. And with 14 days of night on the moon, it's perfect for mushrooms. Additional technologies that are akin to Lunarpunk includes LED luminous cloth, DIY spirulina grow kits, UV tattoos, Aztec death whistles, mushroom motherboards, algae batteries, permaculture, lasagna gardening, fruit tree grafting, seed bombs and guerrilla gardening, algae lamps, DIY night vision goggles, and moon panels. Lunarpunk seems to have a desire to question all technology, and hopefully it's not too late for that. Or at least course correct with AI. Unlike Solarpunk, who seem to embrace transparency in all things, Lunarpunk seems to be talking more about privacy as a standard. I found some very interesting videos on the topic. If you have the hour to burn, look up Rachel Ross O'Leary and Dark Fee and Lunardio. There's also a philosophical journal called Angroism in the 21st Century, which is a rather interesting read. One Lunarpunk I spoke to said they invented an AI that could bring about world peace. Yeah, that's what punks are. Some of them are not only cypherpunks creating their own banks and dark forest on the blockchain, but also are creating a Lunarpunk Futures Party, led by an AI named Terra Affinity, whose entire goal is to abolish the government as we know it, liberate non-human animals, and let trans and indigenous femmes run their own damn communities? Seriously though, I discovered an AI president, President Terra Affinity of Arcadia, a time-traveling construct from the future to be precise. Still trying to wrap my head around that one. The cynical argument is that Lunarpunk is just Control F and Control V, the sun and the moon for Solarpunk, and probably shouldn't exist as just another side of Solarpunk. But it's not. Not taking the cynical path. Not used to this. Feels coppery. Anyway, Solarpunk is very much about living in harmony with nature, but it's a planned kind of harmony. And the tech mirrors that. Lunarpunk knows that nature is chaos. It leads and humanity finds harmony, not the other way around.
Aesthetics.
This I can get behind fully. What's not to love about Lunarpunk aesthetic? It's witchy, it's gothic, it's cyberpunk-like. It's finding yourself at an underground rave and finally making out with your crush in a dark hallway. Just make sure to pat down your back pocket and make sure your wallet's still there. Not speaking from experience. References to planets, space, the moon, gemstones, mushrooms, trees, fairies, lily pads, witchcraft, and dark-colored flowers. Seriously though, Lunarpunk is neon, lucid dreams, it's constellations, triple moon goddesses, and just a right dose of teenage angst. I'm not sure if I'm scared of Lunarpunks or starting to fall under their spell. Let me take another look at that manifesto. Oh, look, a QR code. When not in reality or on the moon, Lunarpunk cities are underground or at the bottom of the ocean where the light dare not go, living amongst the bioluminescent fish and mushroom. Taking inspiration from such natural cities as Gorim, Turkey, or Ablitsky, Georgia.
Where did Lunarpunk start?
Solarpunk blogs. Solarpunks Online by Brazilian imagined a different world, and Lunarpunk seems to carry that same torch here. I found some conflicting information about Lunarpunk in particular, as some say it was the 1970s, some say the early 2000s, some say the 2020s. One Lunarpunk I spoke to pointed at the first zine ever created in the 1930s was called The Comet, written by a group calling themselves the Science Correspondence Club. Now, there's no denying that zines were crucial for the spread of the punk counterculture and many of the subgenres. Not sure how convinced I am about this alternate history theory though. Also, I couldn't find any scans of The Comet. But all this is an interesting piece of punk history. I did find a fashion blog that credited the band Crass, claiming they released a song called Reality Asylum on their 1978 album The Feeding of the 5000, which they say the word Lunarpunk. And strange as a song as it is, I checked the lyrics, though the word Lunarpunk does not appear. To be fair, the song and the video does have a Lunarpunk vibe for sure, so check it out. Regardless, one thing is for sure, Lunarpunks have been a very vocal newcomer to the punk counterculture, and their growth and popularity cannot be ignored. Even if their origins is kind of murky, and with me just kind of throwing my hands up and saying it's spiraled out of Solarpunk.
Real life Lunarpunks.
Much like any counterculture, people within it don't always self-identify. Like any angsty teen that hasn't done enough research outside their search bubble or safe space, they may not have yet come to the realization that their work, writing, and projects aren't exactly all that original. Or maybe the time-space rift has caused Lunarpunk to be in a state of perpetual denial of their own roots or upbringing. Whatever the reasoning is, I was able to identify a number of real-life Lunarpunks, but only a few that clearly identified themselves as Lunarpunks. As mentioned already, Rachel Ross O'Leary and Dark Fae and Lindario. That seems to be some of the most vocal Lunarpunks I have identified. Also, Justin Norton Kirsten is a speculative fiction writer whom recently put together the Lunarpunk anthology, which is worth checking out for sure. There's also some Discord servers as well as Reddit pages dedicated to the movement. Some have also mentioned the author and activist Starhawk, and Lee Harrington as a prominent powerhouse unwittingly within the movement, as well as activist and game developer Kara Stone.
My recommendations.
You know what the biggest pet peeve of doing this gig is? It's not the crypto bros that name their shitty currency something something punk. It's not the copy bots. It's not even the comments that say that there are too many punk genres and that they are redundant. It's this section, and I just sometimes don't have anything to talk about. Here's the thing, I can give you examples of the aesthetic and manifestos, talk to people about it, give you their position as punks in the street. But it's not tangible, it's not something you can experience and wrap yourself up in, this or that. So if you know it's for you, that you can fly this banner and say, I'm this kind of punk. Not saying the forum posts, the zine articles, the blogs are not important to getting the discourse going. They are, but for me, personally, to understand a thing, to make it make sense to me, I need that tangibility. I need to be told a story. Truth, fiction, immaterial. Like I said back in Solarpunk, ironically, if any of the genres I have shown you in the past interest you, please, please, make a skit, a comic book, a webcomic, an audio drama, a rock opera, a movie, something in that kind of universe, please. Not to say I don't have anything for you punks. It's just less my recommendations and more what's my favorite stories from the Lunarpunk anthology Bioluminescent. And one extra thing. Chant for Circularity. I did not like this story going in, and I'll admit it's pretty boring, as utopian stories are. But as an indictment on how we can make the same mistakes given enough time to pass, it works with the topsiders, Solarpunks. Oh, sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. Solarpunks. Looking down on the Lunarpunks that live underneath them in the underground. Despite the fact that they have a symbiotic relationship, it's a bit too short, even for a short story, with the real action of the piece being resolved, for the moment, at least very quickly. When the web went down, how the fuck did you make an interesting concept like a fungi network humans can connect to boring? This one zigs where Chant of Singularity zagged, and it zagged hard. I cared about the underground. I cared nothing for these hippies. Or the treekin. Basically, their network is infected with a virus. In this case, a slime mold. Cutting off the connection between the trees and the humans, and the trees to the trees. And I could care less. And no, I understand why it sucks. It's basically a net crash. But that's the thing. I understand, but I don't care. I'm not given enough experience to actually work to form a connection. The best way I can describe it is thus. There's a room with a woman trapped with a zombie. You know nothing about this woman, just that she's alive and the zombie's coming at her. Because of cultural experience, I know this is bad, but the impact on me is buffered beyond the initial impact because she's just some rando to me. Anyway, back to the story. The whole situation is solved off screen by talking to a slime. Huh. Okay, pauses. It's really interesting concept, even Mike thinks so.
Why all the comms? Well, I think it's because they're out there building an AI made of mushrooms. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but why not? It's been known for a century that microresonant networks are capable of processing data, similar to our data digital networks.
It's a good allegory for the fact that there's nothing that is unnatural, nothing that is not kin, because it all comes from Mother Earth, and that the whole is eternal, not the single tree. It keeps the punk trope going. We may not win, but we don't lose either. Seashells and soda can. Dreams can tell you the future. I believe that. I'm not sure if it's just random access memory putting connections together or something more mystical. Doesn't matter. Two siblings go to the ruins of a Hawaiian resort to search for the seashell and soda can cave, to make sense of a vision from the future, ending up reconnecting with themselves and their past. It's definitely more mystical side of Lunarpunk, but also has aspects of climate devastation, as that's why the resort is abandoned. Hawaii was flooded and the colonizers ran off. Poppy. Not terribly comfortable with putting this here. I'm sure she's a Lunarpunk. I'm just not convinced yet this woman is real. Some kind of construct, maybe not an advanced AGI like Silverhand or Cortana, or a bioprinted like Synth in Blade Runner.
Hi, I'm Poppy. Oh no. I'm Poppy.
But as the subject of the Monarch theory. TLDR, it's an offshoot of MK Ultra. You blank out a House of Mouse photogenic fucker's mind, code them to be sweet and innocent till they age out of that demographic, then ramp up the sexuality. Sit back and watch the wetware melt down at the consistency, covering up your own handiwork. Fave songs in order: Fear of Dying, Van, her rendition of Everything She Says, Time's Up, Hard Feelings. If you haven't noticed yet, kinda been listening to a lot of Poppy lately. If she's not on the next CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk game soundtrack, I'm rioting.
How do I feel about Lunarpunk?
That's a complicated question. I'll be real honest with you, 35 videos haven't really changed my position on this. Utopias are boring and inane concepts. There's no utopia. Sorry, that's life. It's a cesspool. Try to leave it better than you found it. Which Lunarpunk kinda embraces. Even at its peak, there's still shit we gotta deal with. Everything from climate catastrophes to algae that kills oxygen, blinding the fish, but it glows in the dark and we kinda need that to see, while still having the trappings of utopia. I don't see someone throwing hands in a Lunarpunk story. I see Fungus Lady solving the issue with a cup of moss tea and ethically sourced biscuits. It could very much be a me problem. I'll admit, way more than 10% of my runtime at any one moment is thinking about fighting or violence, just how I'm set up. Now, if we're talking about an aesthetic or a real-life countercultural movement, I'm all for it. The night belongs to all, the freaks and the civvies, and while I believe in tech, there's a wisdom in mysticism. Overall, I like it. Would I like to experience more of it? Yes. Also happens I have a place in my heart for witchy women. However, only metaphorically till your soil. That's not an innuendo. I kill plants by existing. Here's something that's 21 videos too late. Some special shoutouts. Thank you Avina Axel for being our lovely Lunarpunk. Thank you Zenith Nightshade for ghostwriting this episode. It was originally just going to be an outline, but with the 9 to 5 and a sudden sinus issue, this was a huge help to getting this video out on time. Thanks, punks. And retroactively, because I used this video from Elfpunk, thank you Emmy Ray as well. Well, this has been What's Up Punk. Till next time, have some crusty bass lines, share a drag with a mushroom mom, and do some light spanking. But keep on being a no good, dirty punk.
You know it, you love it, here's the spiel, let's do it. Hit subscribe to be my subscriber. Hit the bell so you know when I've actually posted stuff. Still no idea why those two things are separate now, but whatever. And of course, hit like to appease the algorithm gods. All fear and praise. On a list of whatever YouTubes, I am also probably not going to get any ad revenue for these videos, so if you would be so kind, check out that Patreon and the GoFundMe. Links in the description.